to Cassette Connection, the podcast where we discuss music and meaning with the people who make it. My name is Ben, and with me is Alex. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cassette Connection. This is our 10th episode, and I thought as a bit of a fun, exciting thing to do for our 10th episode, I'd get some of the boys from my band Lost Coast together, and we would talk about our music, talk about how we make music, and the recent music that we've put together and put out. It was a really fun conversation. I want to thank Alex, Dylan, Pat for being a part of it. Unfortunately, Luke couldn't be there for the recording, but it was a great episode, I think, and it's a fun little insight into the band, and I think it's fun because sometimes when you're in that band setting, you're not really talking about every single thing that pops into your mind regarding your own music. You're just kind of getting it done. So this is a bit of an insight into that. Thanks for listening. If you are listening, hit subscribe where you get your podcasts. Subscribe on YouTube. Leave us a rating, and tell your friends. That'd be great. Here it is.
Give us the who, what, when, where, and why of Lost Coast. How you got started, where you are now. A little bit of a little bio.
Our little beginning bio.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we'll just do the bio and then we'll go around and say who we are and what we do.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm Alex and I play guitar.
Yeah. Who are you?
I'm Patrick. I play bass.
I'm Ben. I also play the guitar.
I'm Dylan and I play the guitar as well.
Apologies from Luke, who plays the drums.
So, I guess the history of the band.
Yeah, well, I don't know. 15 years?
Well, maybe not quite 15 years,
No,
but it's
close enough.
it feels like it might be.
I mean, yeah.
What was before Lost Coast?
Important question.
There was a lot before Lost Coast, right?
First ever band is, what do we call it?
What was our first band?
Fight the Fall.
Fight the Fall.
I don't
yeah.
know how
that
we
was
even
our
came
high
up with
school
that.
band.
Yeah, which was absolutely atrocious.
Yeah, and that was Alex and I and Luke and our friend Jonathan and our friend was Lindsay in that band?
I don't remember. I think it was just four of us.
Yeah, that was just the four of us.
Yeah. And that was
then after that was in college, we started a hardcore band called Prospects.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And that was Alex and I, not Dylan, plus Lindsay.
Lindsay.
That was the same
Luke
band
as well,
plus
yeah.
Lindsay.
So pretty much Ben, I, and Luke have been doing music together as a collective for a very long time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, since what, like year 8?
year 8, years. Yeah, no, it would have been year 8.
Year 8.
So fucking little kids
How
playing
old
metal
are you when
music.
you're in year 8? 14?
Let's try to do the math.
I wasn't sure how serious that
Yeah.
question was.
yeah.
So yeah, it has been an incredibly long time
Yeah.
that we've been playing together at least.
Yeah.
And then Lost Coast it also came about in college, I think, but it wasn't the band that it is
It
today.
was just playing around with the ideas of playing post rock, really. Because
Yeah.
before that was just a lot of rock, a lot of metal, a lot of covers.
I think
Nothing really.
I think Lost Coast's first show was with my old band, my old emo band I think that was 2013. And we played Downstairs Magpies.
Yeah, I think that might have been the first band as Lost Coast and the
first show.
that might have
Was
been
that
Ecritique.
Ecritique? Yeah, was that
Ecritea's first
Ecritique?
show as well.
Mm.
Yeah, I remember the flyer done by Chris Young. It was Raiders inspired flyer. Only the best.
Expect nothing less in Canberra.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And so I guess it started, in college. And what we would. It was just you and I and Luke and Dylan, I think, to begin with.
Not to begin with.
No,
It's just you three
us
for
three.
sure.
Yeah. No, because
Yeah, like
we
easily.
Yeah, we made a few little songs here and there.
Yeah.
Which I cannot remember for the life of me what they were like.
They're gone.
Yeah.
They're gone into
Jettisoned
the
a
ether.
while ago.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, that was like our little touch into something different.
The beginning.
And then, we went on like hiatus for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah, came back, formed Lost Coast.
With
then-
Dylan.
Yeah, with Dylan. So there was 4 of us. And yeah, we just went crazy with writing to see what we could come up with from all these different influences and stuff.
So that kind of takes me into my next question. Tell us a little bit about the style of music you play, the music you write.
Oh, I don't know if I could really pin it down to anything particular. It's just, whatever's fun or whatever I'm feeling or whatever the
If you had
band.
to define the style of music Lost Coast plays.
I don't know.
I think
Have a go.
over time it's changed. I think in the beginning we were consciously trying to emulate other bands. Like I think at the beginning, especially for myself, we were trying to emulate like This Will Destroy You. And I mean,
It's pretty apparent with
Yeah.
the early stuff.
with the early stuff, the demo, like the 3-track demo or something like that. Like
Yeah.
we were just trying to kind of cement ourselves with that sound to be like kind of like a proof of concept thing. Like we want to make this music, but we're not at this point. We haven't really found the voice of the band.
Do we have the chops to do it?
Yeah, and we're just gonna do our
Yeah,
little
like-
knockoff version of it. Yeah, and then I think over time, with the first EP demo kind of record thing, Colorless kind of started having its own voice.
Yeah, that's when things were
It
getting
had
a little
its
on track.
own direction,
Yeah.
and people started being like, "Oh, and this is what you come to a Lost Coast show to hear." And that was before Pat joined the band as well. So even in that time, you could say that was still kind of the post rock, but it was more kind of like, I don't know, less like we were trying to emulate This Will Destroy You and the other post rock bands that we were listening to. More we were just trying to
Yeah,
Make
that
our
was the
own sound.
foundation, and then we
Yeah.
did our own ideas.
went from there.
I feel like that was like baby steps once, I guess, more or less I joined the band. But even then, there was definitely a sound.
Yeah.
There was something going on,
Yeah.
but then
Yeah, and it progressed from there. So I think at that time we were just kind of like this mid-range post-rock thing, whatever you want to define as post-rock. But then once Pat joined, it kind of opened this world of being able to play 3 guitar parts. Because before Pat even joined, we had written what would become Maps. And I think like
I swear we had another one lined
we had
up
Dylan as well.
Yeah.
I think Dylan was done by that time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right.
And I think that kind of took us in another direction. Once Dylan became like a writing member of the band, another voice in the band kind of opened up, because Lost Coast is essentially 5 different voices making, 5 people putting their idea into one sound, right? So it's like, as soon as Dylan became like a key writing member, instead of just like playing bass and just following what me and Alex were doing, playing the harmonic stuff and adding licks and that kind of stuff, he became the writing member. And I think we've kind of moved from being like what you might call a kind of mid-range quintessential post-rock of the mid-2010s to being more of like I just call it like guitar rock now.
I fully agree.
Yeah.
And I think, in the self-titled record, that comes across pretty clearly.
Let's talk about that a little bit. You're saying, you're essentially 5 voices all coming together to create the product of Lost Coast. Tell us a bit about the writing process and sort of how that works, how you guys go about it.
Well, I don't think it's intentional that we're all individual voices. I think just because we have so much freedom when it comes to writing music and playing music, that it just kind of works out that way, that we all just work on our own parts and, think about things differently.
I guess we also take lots of influence from all over the shop, so when we come together, it can blend with all those different sounds.
So you guys all kind of write individually and then bring it to the table, or
Yeah, I
In a
think
sense.
I think there's kind of three. The way I think about it is there's like three different ways of writing a Lost Coast song. There's either like there'll be a song done, like Dylan will have a finished song written down, and he's just like, you play this, you play this, and we play it.
Yeah.
Or there's the jam, where we literally just start jamming, and a song will appear, and someone will have to get their phone out and record it and be like, oh, do you remember how to play that song?
Yeah, forget it. Yeah.
And then there's the semi-written approach, which is like, Alex or Dylan or myself will have one riff written or like the structure of a song done, and then we'll bring it in, play that through, and everyone just kind of listens to it, and then we play it. So I think if you kind of think about it like academically, that's how a Lost Coast song is written. But how we get to that point of writing, it's different for all of us. I think.
Where does the inspiration?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It's very different for all of us, I imagine.
Yeah, well, do you want to talk about yourself?
yeah, tell us, Dylan.
My inspiration.
Or at least how you like start. How you start a song.
Question. This is more or less a lick and an idea, and then I guess that does form into a full-fledged song, which by the end I show these guys. But even with all of the song written out, it's not necessarily the way I want it played. And also, like we said earlier, there's 5 different voices. If I've written 5 different parts, it's not necessarily what they're all going to play, but I don't know, that doesn't really open the door onto how I got to the first page of writing the song, but
I think
if I'm being honest, it's just wing it, but
but I
it's
mean,
not
like
a great way to answer.
From what I've noticed, at least, you kind of do the loop thing a lot.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I do fuck around with the looper a lot. So
And and I think
there you go.
I think you can tell, like, in a sense, you can tell, because a lot of Dylan's songs, like Dylan, or our new song, even, it has like this very strong fundamental riff, a very strong fundamental lick, or like a really, couple bars of chords repeated and repeated and repeated, and then the licks on top of it are changing, the melodies on top are changing.
Definitely feel that. I think over our past, I don't know, let's say our last few weeks of writing songs together, it's definitely become clear and apparent that we all have 3 different sounds, and I like it. But it's a good thing though.
Well, I guess what also happens is when Dylan brings his sort of finished things change when we are all in a room together playing it as well. Like, there'll be tweaks here and there, and it just sounds different too, like sort of the MIDI files that are made.
Yeah, exactly. How about you, Alex?
I mean, I wing a lot of the things that I write, or getting shown a song or something. Like, I'll play the part that's given, but I'll mess around with it a bit. I'll try different things out. But it's just what sounds good. It's like, does it sound good? Oh yeah, all right. Well, let's keep that.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, then try something different.
How about you, Pat?
I guess I always like just having that jam time, picking up the other instruments and noodling around. Like, I know the secret track was written that way, where we just sort of, without Ben.
That's true, yeah.
When Ben was away.
I wasn't even in the country.
Just messed around and just wrote a whole song and then cut it down to what it is now.
It was actually a very contentious time for the band. We weren't sure if Ben was going to continue.
We're just like, more creative freedom for the rest of us.
I mean, we can talk about that a bit. about the album and go through the track list and, talk about how and why each song was written.
So we'll go through the track list, I guess, and we'll start with
2B.
2B, the opening song.
those chords is just what made that song.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Easily.
And I think, Alex, you started with those chords and we all just kind of followed Alex's lead with that song.
Yeah, I mean, that's all that was there at the start was just those four chords and that progression or whatever it is. And then everything's just layered on top of that. So...
Yeah, I think for myself, I knew that it had to have this kind of strong melodic line. And I think that that song is probably one of the only songs on the album that has that consistent, there's just one part playing a melodic line throughout the entire thing. So that's what I brought to the song. And then Dylan's playing the kind of arpeggiated parts. And the other part of the harmony on top of it.
In 2B's early iterations, there was a verse that I sung as well.
Right at the end.
Yeah, right at the end.
Oh yeah! Oh my god! Yeah.
I probably forgot about that too. So.
goes to vocals at that nice pretty part. Hey?
And I mean the end is like a part in itself, right? But the song is kind of, pardon me, the song is kind of split over two parts in the way I see it. It's like the beginning with the chords, those are played consistently throughout and it gets bigger, but it reaches that climax kind of really naturally. It's just this progression of those chords and the melody getting higher and higher and repeating, and then it cuts away and brings out that pretty part at the end. Which again, I think that was just part of the jam process.
I'm pretty sure a fair bit of that was a jam.
Yeah, because it did feel right to end it. Where that first part. So it's like it needs something at the end.
And I think one of the things about beginning an album, and this goes to like the process of making an album, is you want to kind of establish like what's your album going to sound like. Like you kind of want to establish a tone straight away, and then everything that comes after that. That's fine, but you need to establish a tone and a direction for the record. And I think splitting the song in 2 parts does that.
Mm-hmm.
This is how like a Lost Coast song goes. It's these chords and it builds up over time, and then there's this huge part, and then there's this really pretty bit at the end, which is kind of the dynamic of a Lost Coast song.
Yeah, it's not as static as other things, I guess.
The next song is Dylan.
Dylan was cool because that was sort of the first time Dylan really was just like, oh yeah, I've got this song written for 3 guitars, so we need you to play bass. I think Luke went overseas for a bit, so Dylan played drums for a couple shows, not just one, and I filled in on bass, and so that's how I sort of joined the band. I don't know how long ago that was now, but yeah, and then when we were jamming, yeah, that's when Dylan mentioned that there's this new song cooking up with three guitars in it. So yeah,
Did we play that like at that show as well?
probably.
Yeah, I think we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Dylan being the drums for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we had to. Yeah, I mean the benefits of having 5 people in your band is when you can sub someone out.
I think actually, I think we did play it with a loop as well.
But the song itself, I mean, Dylan could probably tell us the most about it because it's called Dylan for a reason.
Well, it's funny, the inspiration for that came from watching an episode of The Walking Dead, and I was like, what the fuck is this dog shit music that's happening right now? There are people dying left, right, and center, and you're telling me you're going to play like some country tune over this? Come on, dude. I felt like I could do better, but I don't know if that's true.
Is that the inspiration for it?
100%.
So the song was almost written out of spite.
Yeah. Like literally. I was like, this is such a terrible soundtrack. I don't know how you've done this.
So you wrote a piece to essentially go in that part?
More or less, yeah.
Shit. That's cool. I didn't know that.
It was an attempt.
I don't get any Walking Dead vibes from it whatsoever.
No.
But now it's probably all here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Maybe the opening A minor chord is that big strum. Bring.
It's cool because Dylan was also the first single of the album, and I guess it was the first sort of taste of Lost Coast
With the new lineup.
Yeah, with the new lineup after Coalesce in 2016. So we put it on where Post Rock Dwells, and that got quite a bit of traction as well, which was cool to see. People were really into it. So yeah.
But in terms of the song itself, like we were saying before, it is kind of this looping. There's like, this strong kind of like fundamental part, which is the chords, and what Dylan's playing, the arpeggio. And then on top of that, Alex is moving through these different riffs. And then classic Dylan style, it goes up huge, and then it comes down, and then it bangs straight into the next.
I can't fault you on saying that.
I think that was one of the first songs where we really put a lot of attention into the production side of it as well, because we recorded the album in 4 days. We didn't have that much time to be doing dubs or anything like crazy in the studio. We didn't really have the time to spare to do like studio production. But I think the process of working with Lou in his mixing studio and going through that, just that M part a lot, just to hear, like, just to make sure we get, like, lock into the sound we were going for, I guess.
Yeah. Which I don't think we really had an idea, like 100% concrete idea. This is what it's going to sound.
Yeah.
It was more just like as it developed, it was like, okay, that sounds good, or what about this? Change this instead.
Yeah. Let's bring something up or take something down. It's hard to know when you haven't, like, as a band, we've never really like dug into studio time or anything like that. A lot of the time developing the songs has been either in a jam room, in a jam, or live. Like, we're either playing live and developing the song, like as it's being written, kind of thing, or we're just jamming it. And in a jam room, it sounds completely different.
It really does.
The power of the recorded medium, right?
You said it.
Whoa.
What comes after that? The World?
I think I wrote the first half of that song for sure, had it finalized. There was like one afternoon where I hit the end of the song and was just like, I don't know what I'm doing, copy and pasted some stuff, and that's literally how it came out. So what you hear is that.
So copy and paste. So that's how you wrote it. Like, tell us why. Was this one written out of spite as well, or where did this come from?
No, I sat on the first half of that song for months.
Right.
Like literally months, and then I think I wrote the end of it in no more than 20 minutes. Couldn't tell you how, couldn't tell you why. That last guitar riff, I was like, oh, this sounds great over the bing bong sound. Yep.
It definitely went through a couple names as well. I think the earliest name it was Country Cheese.
Country Cheese.
Yeah, Country Cheese.
So,
named after the biscuit.
Named after the biscuit. So every time, I'd remember Country Cheese, but I wouldn't remember the other. I think we eventually called it Sunrise 2.
Yeah. So a lot of our songs during this writing process, the writing process for Lost Coast, we would just call them like placeholder names, or a name that where we were just like, oh, this sounds like our song Sunrise. Let's call it Sunrise 2.
Bass driven kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, call it Sunrise 2.
And that, it's okay. It's not the worst thing in the world to do, but you should probably name your songs. I think that we named the world like the day we went up to do the master in Sydney.
I definitely remember that chat happening on that day.
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Call it anything.
Yeah, call it anything at this point.
But how do you feel about the song?
The world. It's good. It's
It's one that we
Expand on that a little bit.
Yeah.
it's a good one. It's again, it's another example of the first half is different than the second half, and it plays around with a lot of different ideas, a lot of layering, and a lot of repetition, and all that nonsense. So it's not too bad.
You definitely don't get as many people dancing in the second half as you do in the first half there.
Yeah,
Which is
the
fine.
first half is the vibe. The second half kind of ruins the vibe.
Shit, sorry, I should have flipped those around.
But that's the power of the record. And the tones. Oh, the tones.
The tones.
The tones. There's that. Oh, that was another one where we kind of locked in on the, maybe less the like production side, but more just like the guitar tones.
Oh, definitely. Like that end guitar tone. I wasn't going to let the studio track be the one that we chose for the album.
Yeah. Yeah, because Dylan, so Dylan re-recorded his guitar part with Lou later. Just because the tone, like, you hear the tone, you're like, it's just not banging.
Yeah. Doesn't sound like my line 6.
I
It's
think
not the spider, dude.
It's not my spider, yeah.
I think The World is the only song that was recorded on your P bass instead of my jazz bass.
Yeah,
on the
that's
record.
right. So that's even like the specificities of the instrument you're using.
Yep.
Just because you want a specific tone, like, with The World, we knew it needs to be this like driving sound. It needs to have the crunch of the P bass.
100%. Kind of carries it for a fair bit of the song anyway. So
And I mean, even on like my guitar tone in that first section to have you get some really cool sounds out of the Terra Echo if you just use it the way it's not meant to be used. So threw that over it, and then at the end just like stacking fuzz and overdrive on top of each other and just being like, hey, wake up. And just getting the most obnoxious guitar tone you can. What song's next, fellas?
Hermit.
Hermit.
It's about finding yourself, and like you take your time with it, and it's a slow journey, but then it kind of evolves into this like discovery, and it becomes a whole another vibe, another trademark Lost Coast 2-part kind of thing. But yeah, the ending really gets me, and you know, just sort of like encapsulates the idea of the hermit, and you know, you go through a lot of solitude and hard times, but then you open up and see the world at the end.
Have a triumphant ending.
Yeah, triumphant ending. That's it.
However triumphant that may be. A lot of people are, they always say, let's go capture this melancholy sound. Okay, if that's how you feel. I think the writing process for Hermit was that the main riff I came up with, and then we jammed on it a lot.
Yeah, that was like mostly, I think, your song that like you brought to the table, and we just worked around it.
And I think like it all began like on guitars, everything on guitars.
Oh,
Yeah, we sorted a lot of things out for that song.
Yeah.
The first 3 tracks.
They're all pretty
don't-
cut
yeah.
and dry.
Yeah, but then when it gets to Hermit, it's like, there's actually an idea behind it.
And let's like introduce some more sound to the soundscape of the album as well. So I think it's a Rhodes that it's played on in the studio, and
bit of real rain from one of the studio.
yeah, that's
that we
right. Well,
recorded.
rain that day, and Lou, luckily, when he's recording drums, has a room mic in a separate room, and all you're getting is this rain, and it just fits it perfectly. But yeah, and then again, it's another 2-parter. It's a song in 2 parts, not 3 parts.
Why the fuck do we do that?
Would you say the 2-part thing has that become, it's like subconsciously happening?
It
Yeah, I
seems
think it's
to
a bit
be,
of a
yeah.
It's just we don't know how to write a full song. Like,
Yeah,
we don't want to like repeat things over. Like, okay, let's just go until we've beat a dead horse and then
Yeah.
do something completely different and then
Yeah.
call it a song.
I mean,
I
you could say that there's 3 parts in the Hermit because you've
It
got the
begins
beginning
with
riff
the
and-
beginning riff, and then it moves into this chord thing, and then that chord thing dissolves, and it goes to the end. And the end is this completely different section, kind of built off the back of the middle. But I think for myself, I just kind of get bored. I get bored of just being
of the song.
of just playing like the same thing over and over again. So I just go, and I feel like the audience gets bored. I'm like, it needs to change. I need to add something here. And that's, for me, writing is mainly in 3 parts. And there's no limitation to what it can or should be. And if you're willing to just kind of go with it, it'll end up good.
I think when we started playing the Hermit live, that was always a funny period because no one would know that it was in 2 parts, and so we'd get our applause halfway through the song. And there was a bit of
wait.
there's like the very quiet trem going on in between the 2 parts, but it wasn't enough to overpower the claps in between. But yeah, so it was. But it's good. It's good because after a while, like that sort of dissolved as people caught on that it was a 8-minute song instead. So. Sayax Azurius, which is it?
Is that how it's pronounced?
Sayax
Yeah.
Azurius.
Do we need
Sexy
Siri
Azurius.
to tell us?
I
No.
could.
But that song is the longest song on the album.
12 and a half minutes.
And I kind of see it as being the quintessential post-rock song on the album.
I would agree.
Yeah. It's just like, it's excessive to a certain point.
I mean, you know, the intro is quite different to
The
regular
remainder
post-rock.
of the song.
Yeah.
But then,
Really,
it becomes very post-rock afterwards.
Yeah.
And I think that was another one where we had a strong idea to begin with. I think that first part was
That intro riff we definitely had written out first.
was you and Alex kind of had that down, and then we jammed it out. And then I guess this was the song where I was just like, let's just add another part. Let's just add another
like
part.
you just had
over
another
this.
riff that you were like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to play this now.
Just put it on top of it. And that's how it just kind of. That song is very clearly in 3 parts.
Yeah.
It's that beginning part with the completely, and I mean, like Luke could tell us about it, about how the beat kind of makes each part. The beginning is a completely different beat to what we would, what you might quintessentially think would be in a post-rock song.
I mean, it's
Very
more
disco.
or less a disco dance beat,
Yeah.
and then slightly transitions to rock, and then transitions to rock. Because it's like a halfway point between the dance beat and the. This is in the first verse, but yeah, I definitely, because I think I wrote that part in Guitar Pro, and what Luke plays in half of it is what I wrote, but the first half is definitely like.
That was completely Luke just being like, I'm going to freak it.
That was Luke freaking the beat.
Yeah. And then that middle section, we'll just kind of, it feels like how it should be played out.
That was definitely jammed out,
Yeah.
but the good kind of jam.
When it all
So drony.
just locks in
Yep.
and it goes. And then the end, again, because it couldn't be long enough.
That was purely jammed.
Yeah,
as
that
well.
was just a jam.
I don't
And
think we changed
That was solely
anything
jammed.
after jamming it.
No,
No.
just kind of did it, and then that was locked in, and then we're like, yep, this is how the song goes.
First,
And it was just a matter of being like, well, let's maybe play it 2 times less or something. It doesn't need to be that long.
Beacon 2.
there is actually a first movie, if you want to say. because Beacon 2 is definitely a sequel. Definitely a
first part.
sequel.
Yeah.
And that, like we said before, a lot of the songs did take their name from the previous song, like a song that was kind of similar to like we were calling The World Sunrise 2, but Beacon 2, I think, was more clear that this is basically Beacon 2, and we're just going to call it that because it follows the same through line of the style.
Yeah, it's definitely like Beacon. If you want to say has a theme, Beacon 2 definitely has a theme, and they're both matching. If you ask me,
when I talk to people about Lost Coast, I'm like, I always say that it's good study music. It's good music to do your work to, and Beacon 2 comes up because it's quite the mellow track, especially after the 12.5-minute song. It's good to sort of break it up with a bit of a
It's
chill
almost like,
time. You know,
album part 2. Yeah.
very consistently.
have a breather.
Yeah, a bit of a breather. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess you could say that that's that exactly like Pat said. That's the kind of midpoint after the huge part that came before it, and that again, that it's like an album in 2 parts. It's like this is the intermission kind of thing, and that's why it's placed where it is in the album.
Yes, that was a conscious decision. Yes.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say about Beacon 2?
I played the same thing for the whole thing.
Me too, actually.
I think
play the same
I think
bass
we
with
actually
the whole
all do.
song.
So yeah, it's like kind of reflective of the first one, because the first one is just a loop, isn't it?
Yeah. The first one was just
Like literally
a spiffy little loop that I made on your
on my line 6.
line 6 delay, and then Alex just kind of built some chords over it. And then but I think Beacon 2 is more just kind of like a expanded version, and like we were saying, like the voice of each person, but specifically to that aesthetic of being like, this is the chill part. This is chill vibes.
Nothing, no excitable moments in this song.
Yeah, we're
Just
not
the
we're
same
not looking
chill
for
vibe the whole
crescendos
song.
here, boys.
What song's next?
Cordial.
That's where the album picks back up.
I know that when we were jamming this song, I was very inspired by the sort of darker side of post rock, like Deaf Heaven in particular really inspired me on this one. Just that sort of bit faster, a bit more. Yeah, you can sort of feel that it's a lot darker, especially coming right off the back of Beacon 2. It's quite a different vibe, and it kind of hits you a lot faster in the second part of the song, rather than sort of like the breaks in the Hermit and things like that, where it's sort of like you have a bit of time to prepare for the crescendo, but then in this one it kind of just finishes and goes again real fast.
Yeah, and I think again that's another like specific emphasis on tone, and I think for Cordial it was much more of an emphasis on energy, which is a vague thing to say.
Well, you weren't here when we wrote that.
Yeah.
So let's like get on that elephant first. But no,
Yeah.
I think it was Alex and I who wrote this one. We just jammed out some chords one afternoon, but it definitely took a while to build this track to where it is now. And that was definitely with additions from Pat and Ben, like months after.
Yeah, I think that's right. I came back from
Japan.
Japan, and there were 2 songs that we knew.
Yep.
And Cordial was one of them. And I think, it kind of stuck better. And had more... I wouldn't say more... maybe more space for a third guitar to take a position.
Definitely. It was definitely also more... it's not to say we didn't have the other songs structured. I just think Cordial was a bit more structured compared.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it just worked. Like, it just came through and worked. And, again, it like Pat was saying, it is the darker end of it, I think. The, and just the aggression. It's, with post-rock, with instrumental music, you can't capture specifics. You can only really capture a feeling or a vibe or energy or whatever you call it. I don't know what you guys call it, but you can say, look, I'm telling this specific story through these notes on my guitar, but are you really? Like,
Well, how
that's
much?
kind of, once it goes to an audience, like unless the audience kind of reads along with the story and they buy into that idea that you're trying to sell them, you're
Text on the page.
they're 2 separate things. So I feel like with Lost Coast, it's less conceptual about, with the album, it was less conceptual about it being a specific story we're telling. More, this is the feeling, the vibe, the energy. And I think Cordial is kind of one of the most energetic songs in that way.
If there's one thing I could say about it, it's when Alex and I had the guitars together, or really when all 4 of us had the guitars together, I did not imagine Luke to play what he ended up playing on the record. Like, I was like, he'll just play some generic rock beat, ends up spicing the whole thing. So, I wish he was here to say why, but
It's sick though. It's one of my
It really changes it.
And and again, it's kind of like one of those wavelength things when you've been playing together, that the amount of time that we've been playing together, you know that somebody's going to come through with something spicy to put on it. And it can completely change it.
Yeah, totally. There's a Dave Mustaine quote you could put in there.
What is it?
The closest 2 dudes get together without sleeping each other is playing music.
Oh my god, this whole time.
Nice. Maps is next, I think.
Yes, Max is next.
Maps is one of my favorite songs, just because.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Again, I think it's another.
Our the working title for this one was "Ode to Steve." I'm pretty sure at one point.
Yeah, but also because I knew the song was always going to be called Maps, and I said that in a jam.
Yeah, we didn't. No.
And Pat goes, "Oh yeah, Apple Maps," and then it turned into that.
Yeah, the guy just died. We played a show in honor of him as well. You know, we all wore the typical Steve Jobs outfit. Had the 1984 projection behind us.
Of the commercial, the Apple
No,
commercial.
no.
yeah.
It was didn't we have like George Lucas's first full film?
Was that show?
THX something.
We did do that.
we
for
did
one
actually
as
do
well.
like a completely out of here movie.
Forgot about that one.
Blade Runner intro as well. That was a good one. Just like the scroll of the text for Blade Runner plus all the flying over the city. Man, that was the time.
Just breaching every copyright law in it.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hey, little creature, we're looking at you.
Speaking of projections, one of my favorites was Metropolis, the old Fritz Lang movie. That was a cool one to have.
Doing the Metropolis over and over.
Some cool photos of the projection.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but Predator.
The Alien vs.
Oh,
Predator one was the
that
best
one
one.
was-
Yeah,
Yeah,
six separate
AVP,
monitors.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. That
It's a
was
shame because I can't find any photos from that show, but that was at Lackluster HQ in my old living room. We set up a whole bunch of our TV monitors and laptops, and we played Alien, Predator, and Alien vs Predator across all these different
across all
monitors while we were playing with fairy lights around us.
I think easily the most epic thing we've done.
Yeah.
I'd say
Yeah, we
so
haven't topped
too.
it
No,
since.
Alien vs.
so.
Predator
I
was
know.
the best one.
To be honest, the projections, they've definitely gone downhill since then. So,
That's all right. I guess we'll get back to talking about the
Mappadoo.
track.
yep,
Um,
Apple Maps.
Your,
Apple Maps.
your baby for sure.
yeah, because when it was written, there was only me, Alex, on the guitars. But the way I kind of think about Maps and why it's called Maps, is because I see it as being like a quintessential Lost Coast song, like CSX Exodus is a quintessential post-rock song. I feel like Maps is quintessentially what Lost Coast sounds like.
I just got flashbacks from the other interview.
Quintessential. Yeah.
Quintessential is a great word.
I think you're just overusing it right now.
All right, I'll think of a synonym for it then.
No, sorry, keep going.
No, but that's how I kind of see Maps, the song. In that it is a song in three parts. It's a song with, and it kind of follows three different aesthetics in those parts. The beginning is this very wavy, what would you call like shoegazy-esque kind of thing.
Yeah.
Loud.
Just this loud kind of let it wash over you wall of noise section. And then the middle is this pretty bit that builds and gets bigger and bigger, and is that the repeating kind of Mogwai-esque
Yeah.
riff thing. And then the end is our metal section.
Hell yeah.
I like that
Throwback.
section.
and Luke kept being like, "Oh, this is the hardest part of the record." Dude."
It's where all of our previous metal bands bleed into that, bleed into this project.
through for a second.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it is one of the songs where it's more of the influences again are more apparent.
Yeah, a lot of mono.
There's a lot of mono in that song, I think. Especially at the end. A lot of that, just the way it sounds.
Yeah, like it's nothing too crazy, but it's all about how you play it. So
And how big it is. But yeah, no, I think like that those 3 sections are like, yeah, it's just and that's why it's called maps, because it's like a map of how Lost Coast Lost Coast sounds. And again, you start getting into very conceptual terms at that point, but I think, you know, why not?
Why not? There's no right or wrong way.
Exactly.
You hear that, kids? You can't do music right or wrong. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
How do you guys feel about it?
Got maps.
Hmm.
It's good.
Yeah.
I mean,
Again, would
I'm
you
not
like
sure
to
what.
elaborate?
Yeah, well, I mean, considering it was your baby, but if there's anything I can say, I definitely stole that middle riff from you.
Well, yeah, because
Oh, as in, like, you played that,
Yeah.
but then I was like, nah, I won't play that now. So you got to figure something out.
hijacked it. Yeah.
But that was the whole point, is like that riff. I knew that I wanted to play a counter melody to what Alex was playing, but I can't play the riff and play that part at the same time. And I hate using loopers because I can't do it live. Because me, with like having to lock in with Luke, and we don't use in-ear monitors or anything like that, and like
yeah, don't get it right once.
you just
Forget it.
don't get it right.
Yeah.
And there's, you know, you skip and you miss it by 20 milliseconds and the whole thing's out. And so it was just easier when Pat joined the band. We could actually fucking play the songs.
Yeah, because, like, maps, you definitely showed maps when I was still on bass.
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah, maps
I think
maps
we
was a
have
two-guitar
demo
thing.
of it from when it
Easily.
was just us four. Yeah.
Oh, I just love there's this bass line just before the hits at the end, and I just love that bass line. Best bass line.
On to David.
The jam.
Definitely the
Jam,
jam.
yeah.
Like we were
Definitely
saying,
the
like
jam.
that song was just a jam. That was a song where we were like, oh, rush and get the phone and record it because we're going to forget this.
It's definitely the different sounding one on the album. It
Yeah.
sounds.
It has its own sound. I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't think I could describe it, but it
And that's why
just sounds different.
yeah.
You know?
That's why I say we're a guitar rock band, because it's like fuck, I don't know.
We definitely are.
What do you call it?
Like, it would be stupid to say we're not a guitar rock band. That's 3 fucking guitars.
But David as a song,
David has a song.
yeah, a jam. And again, I think it was because when you're jamming, you've kind of got to react and follow. But because we've been playing together for so long, we know how to jam with each other. But again, for me, like I'm playing the kind of harmonic part in the entire song. And for me, I just get bored. And I think that everyone else is going to get bored. So I just had to keep it rolling. And that's how that song got that overarching structure, I think. And it's the most proggy song in a way.
It has
There's
a
no
lot of
repeating
parts.
sections.
Yeah,
There's like
actually,
5
yeah.
different sections. And yeah, it's probably the most proggy thing on there.
That ends the end of David's another triumphant finish to a song as well. Sort of like the Hermit, where it kind of just all comes together into this big piece where we're just playing like together, but also with our own voices, I guess.
Yeah, and again, it comes down to like album, like track placement, and because there's no overarching story, and we're not, this track needs to be here and this track needs to be here. When it came to track placement, it actually came about pretty easily, I think. But then, like, we knew David has to go at the end, specifically because of like what Pat was just saying. It has this kind of triumphant ending, in a way. You can't really. Well, you can. You can end an album on a somber note, but
That's not us.
it might be in the future. Who knows? But yeah. Oh, how do you feel about David?
Me?
Yeah.
What, you want me to be 100% honest here?
Yeah.
Please.
I thought we were playing the Daredevil theme song. And to be honest with you, I thought it was fucking sick. So, there's that. But yeah, definitely at the ending, it's definitely 5 different voices just coming together. Because, like, I don't know, if you, like, single out each of our tracks, you'd just be like, wait, what the hell? How'd that all mix? But apparently it does. That's how I feel.
David's probably one of my picks, one of my favourite songs off the record as well.
It's a good one to play.
And then
Yeah, and it is fun to play. I think
Yeah.
that's a different
so
part of
fun
it
to
as well.
play.
It's definitely a party banger.
Yeah, because it was a jam, and that one really got fleshed out and built out during the process of playing shows.
Yeah, actually, easily. That's
Yeah.
definitely true.
Because for us, there was never really like a writing season and then a show season. It was like
It was all one.
it was just at the same time. It was and it
Never
was
stop
over
writing.
years.
3 years.
Yeah. So being able to play it, and essentially, yeah, you're kind of road testing the song. And it feels good to play, so you know that if it feels good, again, you're trying to capture the vibe, the feeling, the essence.
Yeah, searching for that
vibes.
feeling. Yeah.
And you just want to, kind of just recreate that nice feeling.
But speaking of somber notes, the secret track does end in pretty
Yeah, it does actually end on.
pretty
if we want to call it a technical track.
That's our thoughts on the album.
Yeah. I think maybe we can talk about like our influences going into the album.
If I could say one more thing about David, it's that we definitely wrote that song fast comparatively.
Oh, dude, it was in one session.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
one session, and
Came out so quickly.
I think we perfected it in 2.
Just needed to be tightened up, kind of thing. And that's the power of the jam, yeah.
Just riffs, man. Just riffs.
Yes.
Well, yeah. If you want to go into that, your influences going into the album.
Yeah.
What did you take with you? What was in your little bag of tricks, in your little mind, in your tiny brain?
I mean, for me, some of my main influences for the band and kind of starting the band, Mono was the big one. Mono and This Will Destroy You were the big ones, but I think I've always leaned in terms of tone more to Mono and songwriting towards Mono. And then on top of that, it's just kind of like all those subconscious influences that you pick up from your listening. Yeah, so I think going into the album, because it was a departure from what we were doing originally, just kind of songwriting wise. I'm not so sure if the influences kind of shine through too hard.
No, because I think by that point we had everything sorted, like what we sounded like.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just trying not to fuck up. It was like, I just hope this sounds good, So,
Just in terms of like writing.
well, yeah,
Maybe
mono for
influence,
sure.
yeah.
Mono are just, I mean, they're just gods. So
Yeah.
why wouldn't you want to be like them? But I mean, I don't know. I know, just play, and if it sounds good. But I mean, if I think it sounds good, doesn't mean everyone else does. So
I think it's
just keep trying. Oh,
I've always really liked the sort of faster and I guess more metal-y side of post-rock, like Russian Circles in particular. Like they're a big influence. Their bass is just like impeccable. And they're quite fond on the sort of repeating parts with only 3 members. So that's always good
loops,
to
lots of
listen
loops.
to.
Yeah.
Lots of loops. Very crunchy sound, which is always
Just-
good to
yeah.
take inspiration from for especially songs like Cordial again.
What about you, Dylan?
Definitely took a bit of mono into it. It would be stupid to say not. But I probably leaned a bit more explosionsy. And then
Yeah, and that suits the structure of the band as well now.
if I had to say anything that did actually influence some of my decisions, shitty ass pop music. Not even kidding.
But I think that, again, that's another thing that like kind of makes your own sound and your own voice, right? We're not like at this point, we're not trying to emulate anyone anymore.
You're expressing.
Yeah, and all these kind of subconscious things make up the voice that you come out with.
I mean, after most jams that we do, we usually hit play on some ridiculous song, like Freakin' You by Jodeci is one of my favorites to hit play to right after our huge long post-rock jam. Return of the Mac.
Yes.
That's classic.
Yeah.
The list goes on, but I mean, just earlier we were just listening to the Veronicas, so that was pretty good too.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mess.
Yeah, I can't think of too much else other than like, a rock,
Because of the internet.
alt rock,
Yeah.
Old rock and Veronicas.
alt
Yep.
rock and the Veronicas. Yeah,
There you go.
that's it. That's what makes you mix that and you get a Lost Guys.
You are a rock band. Okay, I guess moving forward, what's the band doing in the future? Are you writing anything? And if so, how's it going?
It's going well.
This year has been really funny
Yeah.
Yeah, as you can tell. Yeah.
with gathering and such, but also I think we've all just sort of picked up other things on the side, so it's slowed it down a bit. We did have grand plans for this year, like potentially going overseas, but things just kind of got from bad to worse, and so we've kind of put that on hold. We don't know at this point if we're going to do more with this record. We probably should. It just really depends on the state of things, because like at the moment it's not even worth really looking into booking anything interstate at the moment, because like Melbourne was looking okay for a bit and then immediately back to shutdown. So yeah, just don't know with playing anywhere now. I mean, it'd be great if we could, because we've worked really hard on the record and everything, only for it to
not be able to be toured.
at all. So we managed to squeeze in a launch show just before everything kind of went down in March in Canberra, but that's actually the extent of how much we've sort of been able to do live. That is, there was a few shows booked almost booked interstate, but yeah, we had to can those pretty quickly. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, at the moment, it is just kind of like, what else can you do? You can't do shows. You might as well get back to writing. And I think one kind of funny thing that happens when you're recording is you get spurred on to write more new music. And again, like, because these songs were so old before we recorded them, just write some new stuff, man. Like, you're kind of done with it.
Yeah.
It's like we've been playing the album forever by this point.
yeah, I think by our later shows, all our sets didn't have any songs from Colorless at all. So yeah, we just ended up playing like just songs off the record for about a year or so before it came out.
Yeah, and I think you just kind of keep going forward and think about what comes next. And I think because we have been, there's been this wedge, existential wedge thrown in the mix. You have to. I think a lot more of the writing process now has been kind of like the individual writer in the box writing, that kind of stuff, like using the tab
Our different mediums, yeah. But
software or recording stuff and trying to get it going that way.
it's funny you saying that because I'm like, is this like the first time we've actually shared files and put our stuff in the files? It's like, that doesn't really happen. We're just like, yeah, here you go.
Yeah.
Figure it out. But no, it's not.
Yeah, and it's a completely different process, right? Like it was
It's a bit of a slower process.
Yeah.
Requires a little bit more attention.
yeah, and you're
Definitely
trying to
slower.
write out your parts and do that. But I mean, it takes time.
Yeah, and I guess like we at the moment, if we wrote a really cool song, we're not gonna show it off anytime soon.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe in a month or two, but we might be able to do some small stuff here or there, or do like a live thing. We did a couple live sets, one from the living room, one from the lake. So it was fortunate that we still got to do things like that, but even that has lost a bit of momentum globally.
and we should be able, maybe get back to that kind of thing in the future.
Yeah, but it's good to sort of have those things in the meantime.
That's everything questions wise, unless you want to play the "What are you listening to" game.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So one of the ways Ben loves to end an interview, he'd be like, "Oh yeah, so one of the way I love to end an interview is just like, if you could just tell us a little bit about what you're listening to at the moment, like anything you're really got on repeat." So yeah,
That's an easy,
I've been listening to a lot of Hers. They're a band that tragically died in a car accident 2 years ago, but their songs are really good. Definitely not post-rock, and just my usual sort of female-oriented pop music. Yeah. Yeah, the Japanese House, I've been listening to them a lot. They're so sick.
Sugar. My sugar. Yeah, of course. I got my sugar on repeat every day.
Goes without saying.
Yeah. If it's not my sugar, it's probably Every Time I Die, Mono, Crows in the Rain, Godspeed Black Emperor. That's all I really care for. So that gets me through the days.
Yeah, nice. I just started listening to Genesis.
Oh, yes.
Actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
So good.
Thought, why not?
Now's the time.
Let's-
Better than ever.
Let's listen to some Phil Collins era Genesis.
Before he falls off.
What else? R&B is always a thing. The new kind of girly R&B stuff is what I like. Summer Walker, Seven Streeter, I think her name is. She's good. Then I always go through phases of listening to Beach House as well.
Oh, Beach House.
Yeah,
Wait,
Beach House.
Actually?
Yeah.
Fuck. Okay. Nice. I like a good beach house. No, they got some good stuff.
And yeah, I probably shouldn't think too hard. Might hurt myself.
I'm just Yeji and DJ Boring. Yes, that's a real name. Yeji's so good though.
Helena Pop. Their new song is very good. And some city pop. Yeah, some like 80s city pop. Song called Safari Eyes, which is it's, I don't know what anime it's used the beginning song for, but it's in the opening credits of an anime, and it's a great song.
Still woozy. Listening to a lot of Still Woozy. So good.
What are you listening to?
Yeah, what are you listening to, Alex?
I don't listen to music.
I just do these podcasts.
Okay, cool. Well, that's
it.
it. Thank you to 4/5 of Lost Coast.
Cassette Connection is recorded and produced by Ben Harb and Alex Ferrugia. For more information, head to our website, cassetteconnection.com.
You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Cassette Connection. And if you would like to be featured or just want to get in touch, our email is contact@cassetteconnection.com.